Alright, today we're talking about gaming monitors, specifically how to maximize image quality, customizability, and setting it up with performance in mind for competitive gaming. Being able to ID targets rapidly with clarity alongside minimal input lag between your mouse's click and the boom of your weapon on screen is going to result in a much more fluid experience. Dialing in the best possible settings for gaming can be a task, but today we're going to try to cover it all without wasting too much time. Now, before we dive into the more technical settings, let's start with the basics, and that's your monitor's connection choices. Usually you'll either find HDMI, USB-C, or DisplayPort to choose from. Of course, this is dependent on the ports on your GPU and monitor, but in most cases using DisplayPort is going to be your best bet. There is usually one exception, and that's when you're using an HDMI 2.1 display, like the LG OLEDs, for example, and on consoles like the PS5 or Series X. But nowadays, monitor connections are pretty straightforward, assuming you're using a gaming display, of course, and not a Thunderbolt display. But usually the first thing I like to do is reset the display to its factory settings, because it gives you a fresh foundation to work from. And you can usually do this by accessing your monitor's built-in menu and navigating to the reset option. The overall best options for color accuracy are going to be achieved by using something like a colorimeter. Unfortunately, not everyone has one of these, nor wants to dish out several $100s for a device that they're only going to use every once in a while. So the other best option is by looking up your specific monitor's settings and looking up a calibration guide that has already been applied by a trusted review source. Unfortunately, this isn't going to be anywhere near as accurate as using a professional colorimeter, but it can get you pretty close without all the added costs. If you're having issues with this, I normally try to set the mode that unlocks the most options first, sometimes called standard, user, or in this case, gamer. From there, I normally set the brightness depending on the lighting in the room I'm using it in. Next, adjusting the monitor's color temperature or white point can be difficult to set, but setting this to custom and following some post-calibration settings with RGB tweaks can get you close to that 6500 Kelvin. If you can't find any calibration settings online for your specific monitor, try not to go over 50 for these dials, because remember, in this case, less is usually more. Normally, I leave contrast, sharpness, and gamma at its default setting unless otherwise stated in a post-calibration guide when I'm trying to just manually eyeball it. The last thing I adjust is the response time overdrive settings, which some monitors include. Usually you can dial this up and check for ghosting, smearing, or artifacting in the image by going to the classic alien test. All the other image enhancement settings can often be better left just disabled, and always try to use post-calibration guides or a colorimeter if you get the chance, rather than just manually eyeballing it. So the next settings we're going to cover now are on the actual PC. And you'd be surprised how many people run their monitors at the wrong refresh rate. And this is really easy to set, so we can jump into it. It's as simple as right-clicking on the desktop, navigating to display settings, scrolling down to advanced settings, and at the very bottom, you'll find the refresh rate toggle. Make sure you are running at the display's proper resolution, then set this to the max your monitor can handle, and you're good to go. Also, if your monitor has G-Sync or FreeSync support, it's a good idea to turn on any adaptive sync modes, not confusing this with V-Sync, which you can find again by right-clicking the desktop and selecting NVIDIA Control Panel. If you don't see this option, make sure you have the latest drivers installed, and once you're in here, find the Setup G-Sync toggle and enable G-Sync. You might also want to make sure under the Change Resolution tab, you select Full under the Output Dynamic Range. Another setting you want to make sure you have disabled is mouse acceleration, because mouse acceleration can make it difficult to consistently aim, because the faster you move your mouse, the faster the mouse accelerates. So it makes it very difficult to reliably train your muscle memory with your raw mouse input. You can disable this setting by going into the control panel and finding mouse settings. From there, you can go to pointer options and disable enhanced pointer precision. Now, a quick little tip I'd also like to throw in is trying a program called Click Monitor DDC. Adjusting brightness once you've configured a monitor in your setup can be a hassle, especially if it's mounted on an arm or on the wall. Getting to the toggle and navigating through the menus can be horrible. So what this program does is it allows you to adjust your monitor settings from the inside of Windows and bypasses the physical buttons on your monitor. That means you can set color settings, brightness control, volume, inputs. It even lets you set shortcuts for putting the display to sleep and auto lowering the brightness as the day gets darker. It works really well, and it saves a lot of headaches from using those often awful monitor controls. And for the most part, it's been pretty compatible with every monitor I've tried it with, whether it's through HDMI or DisplayPort, with the exception of USB-C. So we've configured for the most part everything with the monitor's refresh rate, some settings, but now we can cover the world of color, which is a pretty disputed topic and will heavily rely on personal preference, whether or not you like your colors to be a little more saturated or a little flatter. I personally like accurate colors, but let's talk about it. You'll find the color settings back in the NVIDIA control panel under the Adjust Color Settings tab. And from here is where we can begin to tinker. Like I said before, less is more in a lot of these settings, and cranking up the digital brightness slider will bump up the color saturation overall. Increasing the level of vividness will add a punchiness to the colors in the game. It'll feel less flat, and in some instances can make a huge difference in how the game looks. You are basically going outside the intended color boundaries set by the developers, and sacrificing color accuracy where vibrancy is elevating the difference between color values. The increased contrast can make character models pop better against some environments in some situations, without any FPS loss. So if you're after that ever so slightly competitive edge and don't mind messing with the intended color values in game, it can be a game changer for some. It can also make very flat looking monitors almost come to life with the boost, but I only recommend going as high as 65, as cranking the setting above that can lead to a pretty awful color mess. It can introduce noise and make everything almost blend into itself. Displays with wider color coverages are less sensitive to these adjustments, so use it according to your use case scenario, and if you enjoy the oversaturated look, this might be up your alley. Now, the other setting that can be adjusted is the gamma. Games that have dark, shadowy environments like Modern Warfare, Warzone, can make it difficult to see enemies in the shadows. But by raising the gamma, you will pull more detail from shadows at the cost of washing out your colors and contrast. You can also tweak your physical monitor settings by adjusting the black stabilizer settings and decreasing the black saturation in shadows. Again, these are all personal settings. I personally like to leave the vibrance sliders and gamma sliders to their normal settings and run the display as accurately as possible, because sometimes it can give a bit of a deep fried look if you crank this up too high. But then again, there's also some other people that love the added color boost and slight competitive edge you can have popping the colors a bit. You also don't want to break the boundaries of immersion in games like Tarkov, where the color palette is supposed to be dark and gritty and not supposed to have really bright, vibrant trees. So again, it's all personal preference. I hope this guide helped you out, but this is usually what I go into when I'm trying to calibrate the monitors to use them for gaming. So hopefully this helped. Let me know if you guys have any questions in the comments down below. Let me know what else you guys would like to see. Catch you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.